Hardly any other film has sparked as much discussion in recent months as Spider-Man 4. Numerous leaks and casting news have stirred up plenty of conversation. It looks as though the new movie won't just be action-packed, but will also mark the beginning of an entirely new era for Spider-Man. In this video, we will tell you everything about the brand new approach to the legendary series and which awesome characters we can look forward to this time. The ending of Spider-Man No Way Home was a massive cliffhanger. No one remembers Peter Parker anymore, not even his closest friends MJ and Ned. This is exactly where Spider-Man Brand New Day will pick up. The movie's title is a direct reference to a famous comic book storyline from 2008. It was a hard reset following One More Day, one of the most hated comic stories of all time. That story also revolved around the death of Aunt May and an altered reality that represented a kind of new beginning for Peter. For example, his marriage to Mary Jane Watson was undone. Film producer Amy Pascal has clearly outlined the direction for Spider-Man 4 in interviews. The movie will explore the fact that Peter has decided to no longer be Peter Parker, but Spider-Man. That, she says, is the core of the film. Lead actor Tom Holland supports this direction. Quote, "It's going to feel like a breath of fresh air. I think the fans are going to be over the moon with what we're putting together." Of course, Tom Holland will reprise his role as Spider-Man, that's clear. However, Zendaya and Jacob Batalon will probably only make brief appearances. Although both are involved, their roles are said to be very small. This is consistent with the fact that MJ and Ned no longer remember Peter, so a major revival of their friendship is unlikely. The biggest news recently has arguably been the involvement of John Barenthal as Frank Castle, aka the Punisher. This marks his first appearance in a Marvel film, after previously playing the role in the Daredevil series and his own The Punisher series. There's also a Punisher special in development for Disney+. We are hoping to get the first clues about his role in Spider-Man 4 from this special. John Barenthal has already assured that it will deliver exactly what Punisher fans expect from the character. His appearance in Spider-Man Brand New Day promises a grittier tone that has not typically been associated with the film so far. While not much is known about the extent of his role yet, various insiders suggest he will actually have a significant amount to do. According to reports, Spider-Man and the Punisher are supposedly going up against a savage version of the Hulk. Most recently, Mark Ruffalo portrayed a more restrained version of the character. Speculation is already swirling about what could cause such a regression. One idea sounds particularly plausible: an appearance by crime boss Mr. Negative in Spider-Man 4. This would align with casting reports pointing to an Asian actor. The production team is also said to have explored traditional shinobi and samurai clothing. The comic book villain would certainly have the power to reactivate the Hulk's savage side. As an antagonist, he also fits in well with the story's planned direction, but more on that later. In this context, Hulk certainly offers good potential for a personal story. Bruce Banner could take on a mentor role for Peter early in the movie, much like Tony Stark once did, which would make a battle against the savage Hulk particularly dramatic. Additionally, Michael Mando is set to return. The actor previously appeared in Spider-Man Homecoming as gangster Mac Gargan, aka Scorpion. His casting could now tie into the post-credit scene from Homecoming, in which the character hinted that he still had a score to settle with Spider-Man. Mando is best known for his role as Nacho Varga in the acclaimed Breaking Bad spin-off Better Call Saul. With the appearance of the Punisher and the success of the series Daredevil Born Again, a return of Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock also seems quite likely. However, an official confirmation is still pending. New to the cast is Sadie Sink, known from Stranger Things. She has been cast in an as-yet unknown role. There is speculation that she could play Jean Grey from the X-Men universe. After all, the famous mutants are set to be prominently introduced into the MCU with the upcoming Avengers films. Moreover, the next phase of the MCU is said to focus primarily on them. Other theories suggest Sadie Sink might take on the role of Mary Jane Watson or a new version of Gwen Stacy. So far, both characters have mainly featured in the films with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. In the meantime, there have also been rumors about Sydney Sweeney potentially taking on the role of Black Cat. She already has experience in the superhero genre, even though her previous movie, Madam Web, was anything but a success. At this point in time, however, we don't see much chance of such an appearance. It doesn't quite fit into the overall picture that is slowly but surely taking shape. The same applies to a major villain who was long rumored to be the antagonist in the new Spider-Man, Null, the god of the symbiotes. We already got a first glimpse of him in Venom: The Last Dance, which is, of course, part of Sony's Spider-Man universe. And so far, there have been no further indications that the MCU plans to incorporate the character into Spider-Man 4. Quite the opposite, in fact. For a long time, there was a creative dispute between Sony and Disney about which direction the story should take. According to the latest statements from Marvel boss Kevin Feige, it's him being by himself, dedicated to saving the city and dealing with street-level crime, as opposed to world-ending events. Sounds to us very much like a threat from Kingpin, or indeed Mr. Negative, with the Savage Hulk causing mayhem in the streets of New York. But despite all the rumors, it's important to stress once again that no further official details about the story have been confirmed so far. In a first short teaser, fans already got a glimpse of Tom Holland in his new Spider-Man suit. At the same time, it was announced that filming for the Marvel blockbuster has officially begun. Since then, leaked footage from the set in Glasgow has already surfaced, which appears to show the filming of an action scene. Holland also shared some first photos on his Instagram account, showing himself in the Spider-Man costume, standing on top of a tank. The grounded approach is also evident in the way the movie is being shot. This time, significantly less green screen is being used compared to No Way Home. Tom Holland expressed his excitement about this in an interview with Flip Your Wig. Quote, "I think we were really restricted with what we could do in the last movie because of COVID. We shot the entire film on stages. Now, we're really going to lean into that old-school filmmaking and shoot in real locations." Fitting for the fresh start to Peter's story, the series is parting ways with its longtime director. John Watts will not be returning to direct the fourth movie in the Tom Holland series. At one point, Sam Raimi, the director of the original Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire, was being considered as a potential replacement. He also directed Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness for the MCU. However, in the end, someone else got the job, Destin Daniel Cretton. He previously directed Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, a movie that combined cool action with a deep, meaningful story. These are strong credentials for taking on Peter's next adventure. Filming will begin this August in Glasgow, Scotland. However, the release is still a year away. Spider-Man 4: Brand New Day is expected to be released in theaters on July 31st, 2026. This is quite interesting in relation to the release of Avengers: Doomsday. Following a postponement, it is now scheduled for December 18th of the same year. The storyline of Spider-Man is reportedly set to take place parallel to the events of Doomsday. It is therefore quite possible that Tom Holland's adventure will give us the first hints at the next Avengers film. At the same time, it fuels speculation that he will have little to no appearance in Doomsday. However, that is expected to change by the time Secret Wars comes out. Kevin Feige has repeatedly emphasized that Spider-Man will continue to play a central role in the MCU. According to Feige, fans of Miles Morales will need to be very patient. Rights holder Sony reportedly told him to stay away from the character, at least until the animated trilogy concludes with Beyond the Spider-Verse in 2027. As you can see, even a year ahead of its release, much of the information surrounding Spider-Man 4 remains speculative and based on rumors. The only thing that seems certain is that the film will serve as a kind of new beginning for Peter Parker, with new allies and new enemies. We expect to focus on a more mature Spider-Man, which might not sit well with every fan. We are also curious to see whether the change in director will be noticeable in the finished movie. This Spider-Man will probably be different from how we have experienced him so far. Brand New Day ultimately poses the question, who is Spider-Man when no one knows Peter Parker? When there are no friends, no team, no high-tech suits? What remains when everything else disappears? Perhaps this is exactly the most honest portrayal of the hero, and that's precisely why expectations are so high. We will find out in a year if things are moving in the right direction. What do you think? Do you like the idea of Peter dealing with more villains from the underworld again? Or would you prefer a huge spectacle with worldwide consequences? We look forward to reading your comments.